Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about Cardano ADA and more specifically what you can expect from Cardano in 2022 and beyond. In fact, we will be answering the grand question, is Cardano dead or is it just getting started? Now, if you love Cardano, if you hate Cardano, or you're just interested in cryptocurrency in general, please hit subscribe and hit the bell notification button as well to get a heads up when I post weekly crypto videos here on the channel. Now, it's no secret that I've been a Cardano fan for quite a long time, actually since the very beginning. And you know those videos that people make when they've been a long-time advocate for something that ends up being a complete and utter disappointment, and then they have to walk back all the good stuff they've said about it on camera? Well, this video is not one of those videos. If I got you, please leave a comment. Now, this video is breaking down the top 3 reasons why Cardano is not only not dead, but is in fact poised to succeed in 2022 and well beyond. First and foremost, what is probably Cardano's biggest criticism from external parties is in fact its greatest asset going forward into the future. And that is nothing else but its research-based, careful approach to building the network and its critical features and components. Cardano's core development community has not rushed to bring things to market. And while that bothers many people in and out of the Cardano community, it means that the foundations of this decentralized network are solid. The painful re-architecture and rework that Ethereum is going through today is similar to the process that's been gone through by Cardano long before it ever delivered the majority of its mainnet features, including some of the mainstays like proof of stake driven by its Ouroboros consensus mechanism, the extended UTXO ledger model, its native multi-asset ledger that allows tokens to be managed at the base layer rather than in smart contracts, and of course, a smart contract execution environment that is totally unique from anything else that's out there right now. One of the great examples of the solid foundations here is the fact that over 70% of ADA, maybe more now, is delegated to stake pools that run the block-making operations of the network, representing an incredible level of participation from everyday ADA holders in the network. Furthermore, the subtle design decisions made in that proof-of-stake environment, like adding randomness to the mix to eliminate some of the plutocracy elements and separating these staking and spending keys so stake pools are not given spending permissions for delegated ADA, go a long way. Another example of a subtle design choice that makes a huge difference is the well-funded treasury that sits at the center of Cardano. And this is a trove of funds for a variety of things like ecosystem and network development that will be controlled in totality by community governance. These are all building blocks that prioritize long-term stability and viability instead of short-term gratification and price appreciation. Of course, many critics will point to the limited uptake of dApps on Cardano, despite smart contracts having been launched, but anyone who remembers back to Ethereum's path to functional, widely used dApps will remember that it was also slow at first and rife with poorly optimized smart contracts, as developers learned and developed best practices that we now take for granted in the Ethereum space. This same maturity is happening in Cardano. The lessons learned in SundaeSwap's launch, the good and the bad, MuesliSwap, same thing, and various NFT and gaming projects that have been invaluable both for developers of the Cardano network itself, as well as other dApp developers alike. In fact, in case you need another instance where Cardano's design due diligence upfront made a huge difference, in response to the ongoing congestion on the network due to SundaeSwap's DEX launch, updates were very quickly made to expand the scalability of the network through script memory and block size parameter changes. Rather than having to deliberate and test for months before doing this, the change could be made very quickly because the research and the fundamentals were already complete. The nucleus of Cardano's vision is already there. It's not on paper, it's actually there, with network optimization, improved scalability, and generalized network governance being the only elements left on the original plan left to launch. So don't get me wrong, there's lots of work still yet to be done to make Cardano a go-to decentralized application ecosystem, but this is how it goes in crypto. It's slow at first, and then it begins to accelerate as the pioneers establish best practices for others to build with and innovate from. With these solid foundations, builders can build, they can make mistakes, they can find best practices and grow along with the ecosystem primitives that are required to succeed long term, like developer libraries, developer tools, wallets, in particular wallets, and more. However, the greatest foundational element and advantage Cardano has actually nothing to do with its technology. It's the community. If you look back at what made Ethereum the undisputed leader of decentralized application development, execution, and adoption, besides its first mover advantage, it's the loyal community of builders and users that make Ethereum a hotspot for continued innovation and growth. Cardano is one of the few cryptocurrency communities that has this same ethos. When something new is built and launched on Cardano, you have a large volume of users who will jump right in and use it. When you have users that will use something on day one that will contribute, you incentivize developers to build new and interesting things on your platform. And when you have developers building, you bring on new users. And when you bring on new users, more developers build, and you get this core flywheel effect that drives growth. And this is what drove Ethereum's growth over the years. And at the crux of it is a set of loyal users who will stick with the network through thick and thin, regardless of the price of ADA or the sentiment. And I remember when Ethereum was cast into a panic state in the wake of the DAO hack. I had doubts, but myself and the community rallied behind the network and leaders like Vitalik. I remember when CryptoKitties brought Ethereum to its knees at the very advent of NFTs, or the launch of Sushi Swap causing huge spikes in congestion in the DeFi space. Again, the community rallied around Ethereum despite its issues with fees and scalability, etc. Cardano has this same type of core community and passion, and that can't be underestimated. Just like the huge undertaking developers have faced in applying the new and wildly different smart contract model to DeFi on Cardano, or the confusion around how to achieve scalability for dApps using the EUTXO model, Cardano is going to face new and unique challenges in the future. And that's going to require users to be patient, to contribute feedback, to stick with the network as it matures, and not abandon it. And there's a reason why Cardano has posted the highest adjusted transaction volume several times in 2022 in comparison with its closest peers. And that's because of its community's willingness to dive in and engage with the network. As evidenced by the high percentage of delegation of ADA that we talked about earlier, Cardano community folks really want to engage and contribute. However, there's one final note on the Cardano community approach that I want to highlight, and I think that's important to note. Cardano is focused on bringing in new users in untapped markets rather than simply trying to pry away users from other networks like Ethereum. This is the right move, the right strategy, in my opinion. Cardano is trying to make its products accessible and valuable in Africa, Latin America, and more, bringing value to those populations that have traditionally been passed by in the crypto space to date, actually in many different spaces. In response to all the ambitious goals around bringing on these millions of new users, it's also pretty evident that scalability is going to be a huge part of what's to come for Cardano in the years to come. Which brings me to the final point I want to make for why Cardano is just getting started on its mission: the plan for scalability. Now, we talked about the congestion on the Cardano network in the wake of the decentralized application adoption that we've started to see. And this is simply a product of supply and demand. There is a finite supply of block space to process transactions and a finite amount of compute resources to execute smart contracts, and higher demand than those resources can accommodate. On Ethereum, there is a fee market for processing transactions, meaning you pay more to get processed faster. But Cardano is more or less, in a highly simplified manner, a queue where you send your transaction, you wait for it to be processed, and you don't bid with fees for faster transaction validation. Now, there is debate about the merits of a fee market and how it could be applied in Cardano, but that's a topic for another day. Cardano has been built with scalability in mind since the beginning, but it's only just now reaching the point where some of those stops need to be opened and scalability-focused changes need to be made. For example, the aforementioned upgrade I talked about before in February 2022 raised the block capacity and Plutus smart contract script memory capacity on Cardano by 11%, which effectively resulted in more headroom for transactions on the network, more scale. However, block size tweaks and things like that have diminishing returns and can have negative consequences if they're pushed too far in isolation, which highlights the need for more fundamental architectural updates to make Cardano more scalable. One area that is being improved this year is block propagation, or the process of each node in the network receiving and validating new blocks of transactions in a short period of time. A more efficient block propagation mechanism called pipelining, outlined in a blog post from IOHK, outlined a methodology for block propagation that allows the various processes involved to happen concurrently or with some overlap so they can complete much faster. This results in an overall more efficient process for block propagation and gives Cardano more headroom to accommodate potentially bigger blocks, bigger scripts, and in general, more efficient processes that make the network more scalable. In addition to this, several upgrades have been proposed to the core smart contract scripting environment to make Plutus smart contract scripts more efficient on the network and in its interaction with the native extended UTXO ledger model. So across the node implementation itself, the smart contract environment, and other components of Cardano, efficiency improvements are being made to this end of achieving higher scalability. However, there are also off-chain solutions to scalability, which are arguably just as important as the on-chain ones, if not more important. Because more and more you see blockchain networks with a base layer, often called a layer 1 blockchain, relying on layer 2 networks that sit above that main chain to assist in day-to-day scale. Think about Ethereum as a layer 1. Then you have Arbitrum and Optimism and ZK Sync, among others, that are layer 2s to handle more transaction load. These layer 2 networks handle the general transaction volume for dApps, but derive their security from the main chain by relying on its security guarantees, otherwise known as consensus, finality, etc. Cardano is no different and has its own powerful layer 2 scaling solution called Hydra that is already well on its way. Hydra itself is a protocol that allows for the dynamic creation of Hydra heads, which are basically mini networks that share the fundamental properties of the Cardano blockchain and can run in parallel for a given set of participants. As more throughput is required on Cardano, more Hydra heads can be spawned to handle rapid, low-cost transactions at scale. And this protocol is intended to provide the ability for Cardano to dynamically scale to virtually any degree required for users on the network given their demand. Remember, I see this all the time, Hydra is not about scaling to some hallmark number like 1 million transactions per second. It's only focused on being scalable enough to meet the demand on Cardano at any given time without sacrificing security. That's it. There's no extra marketing there. Of course, Hydra is not the only game in town, with other community-built solutions like the Milkameda network being built by DC Spark. Milkameda will serve as an Ethereum-compatible sidechain, where developers can build applications in the native Solidity scripting language in a way that's directly connected to Cardano. You also have ideas that are a little further away from adoption, but are equally on the way, like off-chain execution of smart contracts and a threshold signature scheme that could be a boon for making Cardano much more lightweight. There's simply so much going on for Cardano in regard to scalability that I can't even address it all in such a short video, but maybe I can make a full video just about that. But one thing that's clear to me is that the Cardano team has thought really well ahead of this front on scalability. And undoubtedly, Cardano has had challenges along the way. That is no doubt. There's been delays to major functionality due to fundamental rewrites and re-architecting. You have growing pains in smart contract and decentralized application ecosystems that are only just now getting resolved. Congestion on the network, a lack of mature ecosystem tools in some areas, you name it. However, as I've discussed in this video, in the world of crypto and blockchain, when things start to come together and the momentum picks up, things can change really quickly and move really quickly. So those measuring Cardano's success based on the price of ADA are missing the entire picture of what's being built here and why the long-term picture for Cardano, price aside, is bright. Cardano is far from dead. Its true rise to form has only just begun. And that, my friends, is how you make a video about Cardano without any insane price predictions. With that, I want to thank you for watching. As always, I hope you and your family have a great week ahead. And until next time, cheers.